Hi guys, it's Down Under Monkey. Today I'm taking a look at this GMG 5-pin lock. Pretty impressive looking thing by the size of it. Weighs about 2 kilograms. It's pretty weighty, but that's probably to do with these metal bars. So it's part of a 5-point locking system. You have a little module that comes off the side here. Obviously on a door it's a bit further spaced, and as you move that in and out, it actually pulls that in and out and engages 2 floor pins, 2 top of the jam pins, and the pins that just came out of the side of that. So it's pretty impressive looking. So that goes inside, that's internal, and you turn it around, that's the external lock, and your door would be here, so it would be mounted that way to the door. And then you've got that section on the back, and the key's sort of spring loaded there. So in here you've got some brass looking wafers which depress. See if I can get a better view of that. Not really. Okay, so they push down, and right in the center you've got an actuator. Oh man, the light's just been terrible today. Let me turn on this one so you can see a bit better. Come on, here we go. So you've got an actuator inside there as well that needs to be pushed all the way down before you turn the lock to engage with the locking pins inside. I'll show you that shortly. But this one doesn't have those pins, so this one you can pretty well bypass with just some sort of a T-shaped bar that just goes in there. So inside security obviously isn't paramount, but outside you do need the key. Alright, so I'm going to try and give you the best possible view of when I pick this. So I'm going to pick it from the locked position with the bars all out. I do apologise, my hands will most likely get in the way. Just going to bring you down a little bit closer. Alright, so I've got this little bent bar as a tension wrench, so I push that actuator down, give it a little bit of tension. Now I'm picking around the camera here, so bear with my hands getting in the way. I'm going to pick it with a tension bar. So I'm just going to push these levers down one by one until they feel like they get to the shear line, because it's a horizontal shear line in these ones. Okay, so they're going okay so far. Alright, you will get tiny bits of core rotation. Just got to go back and check all your pins as you go. Okay, not bad. I'm just going to get a longer probe just for these ones. Something definitely feels bound up. There we go. Back to the tension bar. And there you go. That's halfway. You do have to pick it full 360. You can see the bars going in. When you get to this point, the levers start popping back up again. So you've got to give them a little press. And another little press. And they basically pop up and tell you which ones need to be pushed down. Just going to get my longer probe. Sorry, my hands are going to get in the way here. Okay, so we're exactly halfway. Now you can see this side is visible. So I'm going to pop that one down that's poking right up in front. It's a little bit more core movement. Pop the center one. No. Outer one. No. A little little less, a little more tension. And for some reason, we're bound up on one of these pins. I can't figure out which one it is. Okay, push that back down. Push the other two pins down that have just popped up. Sorry, my hands are right in the way, and there we go. That's the pins fully retracted and a full 360. And let me just pull the camera out a touch. Sorry about the ride. So there you go. It's really not that tough of a pick. You've just got to keep the actuator down and keep tension on it. Alright, let's pull it apart. Show you what's in there. Right. Yeah, interesting little pick. I thought it was going to be a hell of a lot harder, but it's kind of just like a push lock. The key, I don't know if I even showed you the bitting. It's like that. So those little things just need to be pushed to certain heights. Little brass, I don't know, key pins, I suppose you'd call them, because that's technically what they are. Let me just get a magnet for all the parts. Well, the screws anyway. Okay. And as you can see inside, this is your little actuator for the piece that I was pushing down, and it's just not doing what it wants to do at the moment. So anyway, if I move that backwards and forwards, take that out of there actually, you can see how that operates. And this piece normally just turns along in there and turns it either way. A bit greasy in there, so I'm going to leave that for now and concentrate on the lock. Alright, so it's got a hardened steel outer anti-drill, anti-tamper plate. It's got a hardened steel plate here. A couple of screws to hold it on the back. So let's pull the screws off the back. I'll show you how this beast works. Always handy to have a magnet for those parts. The magnet actually saved one of the springs flying away from this a little while ago. And this is a bit where everything's going to start falling apart. So I'll keep my thumb on one side and my fingers holding the other side. Okay. Right. So I'm going to just take this piece out. You see there's two halves to it. Just gently wiggle it out. Okay. So that's the retaining, that's the pin that you have to push through to engage with this aluminium part. As I was saying, you have to push the centerpiece in until it engages with that part down there. You can see it's the same shape. Okay, so if I do that, I can just turn that, but if I engage it, it turns the whole thing. There you go, that's half of that. Looking down inside, we have, let's see, I'll zoom that in for you. There's a spring, tweezers, so there's a little spring. Now that spring there actually holds in that pin, which it pushes out. So from the inside of this, the spring sits just there and pushes that little locking pin out, and I'll show you what that locking pin does. So I'll get rid of the spring and drag the locking pin out. Okay, so that actually secures this center section. You can see it's bouncy, but the pin actually holds on that hardened steel tube from the outside. So there's the hardened steel tube. Alright, and the anti-drill protection. Now I can take this plate off, put my finger on this, turn it over, and there's all those pins again. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it upside down, gently pull it apart, and there's your shear line. So if I put my key in there now and push all those down, that'll turn, no worries. Alright, now if I separate this very gently sideways, you'll start to see some springs and pins. So each one of these are different heights. So if I put my key back in there now, you can see they're at the shear line. Alright, drop it down, they drop down. Okay, they push these strange looking pins that are all out of order at the moment. So if I straighten those back up, do apologise for my hands being in the way, this is just a strange lock to work with. So if I push those down, they actually sit down below that shear line when they're engaged by the set of pins up the top, like that. Alright, so that's how that works. And those ones are stuck at the moment, so let me just wedge them free so they don't fly out everywhere. And I'm just going to pull one of them out just to have a look at it. A big long spring on it, and they're kind of shaped like a T, but that doesn't matter because this is the way that it travels. So your shear line runs across here, so there's no sort of false gates in that, nothing at all, and they're only stacked like that, and they're stacked opposites, so they all just sort of stack. Let me see if I can push those ones down into the correct position, and you can see they sort of just stack. Ooh, one's actually, whoa, I'll get that one back in a minute. But anyway, let's just take them all out. Why not? Yeah, so one just shot off somewhere. I'll find that in a minute. They stack alternating. So you'll have one. Yeah, let's pull the spring off, it's easier. One sits like that. These are all the same size. These aren't like key pins. So these are driver pins and they're all the same size. Take the springs off and I'll show you how they've stacked. That's what I was trying to show you. They stack alternating. And that's it. So your shear line is there, and that's how this lock works. Very easy to pick. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If anyone's got any questions, obviously leave them in the comments. And that was the GMG 5-point locking system picked. Have a nice day, guys. See you later.